So I'm here with legendary Queens music producer, Cooler Ruler Divine. You know, he's known for writing the hook for Lost Boyz Renee, also programming the beat breakdown for Big's Dreams. But he's done a lot more in the music industry, man. We're gonna get into all that. But for the first question, what was it like growing up in Queens?
Queens is dope. Queens is in a perfect spot. It's by JFK, so a lot of people come through there. It's the first place that you end up. You know what I'm saying? It's a good introduction to NY. So I love Queens.
Most definitely. That was the very first place I ever went to. And that's kind of how like I ended up like, connecting with you. Like I would go to the Tavern Lounge when the Ryan show was doing the live podcast. Yeah, like I just like, I got to experience Queens like firsthand and stuff, everything, and like soak up the atmosphere. So
right.
So when did you get involved with like, music?
Really young, elementary, and I was just like everybody else got that story of falling in love with their favorite artist that they see on TV. But it did a number on me because I was like a latchkey kid, and I didn't get to get out much. I went to a white Catholic school, and a lot of the other kids, they did a lot on this summer break. I didn't do much, So seeing all them images on TV, especially like my era was Run DMC, and that Rock Box video had me, whoa, you know what I'm saying? The feeling looked incredible. And I just also, my mom chose to buy me equipment at 8 years old, like DJ equipment. And she fucked up when she did that. God curse, my bad.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, she messed up when she did that. And I don't know, I just really, that's the time that you want to record as a kid.
Right.
That's the time you're really learning a lot. And she gave me a lot of stuff. It was a sophisticated thing going on. And I had figured out how to not only in front of tape decks and turntables and shit, how to not only just DJ, juggle, go back and forth and stuff, but make songs, figured it out at 8.
Man, and before long you had developed like, a beat tape, and the word of you had like spread in like Queens, and I guess like Jam Master Jay, like, like had heard about you.
Yeah, when I got out of high school or whatever the case is, like throughout high school pretty much, that's when I went to the studio first. I used to rock a lot with my homies around the way, Trinity. You know what I'm saying? It was like my first group. And we used to do like some roots kind of thing. We used to literally connect all our equipment together, like keyboards and shit, and make beats together, and DJ scratch shit and all that. And through them, we made a lot of songs. We really advanced to having our own sound and really being a ill-type group. And we went to the studio through my man GA, who was very resourceful. We found that shit because we was young. We was like 14 at this time. And we just did a lot of joints, and I fell in love with the studio. I ended up interning at the studio in the middle of high school. I would literally sometimes not be in class. I'd be in the studio in the morning, second period. I got a legit session to do. And yeah, so I bought my equipment when I got out of high school. I needed to have my equipment. I made an ill beat tape, and I had like a 90-minute beat tape full of ill CDs. Shouts to DJ Sage, who told me to buy the MP60, the MPC 60 instead of the SB 1200. I remember that shit clear, right? And it was dope because it was, But anyway, I made and then all these people I was working with throughout high school, they always wanted beats because it was far and few. There wasn't too many other producers around that time. I had nobody to really be like a role model to me. I wasn't following nobody. I just loved to make this music, and people they seen that in me. A lot of people knew me, and we talk. Shouts to Kamar from Foreigner Clip, who put my name in Jam Master J ear, and he pulled up on me on my block and listened to a whole beat tape that I had one summer afternoon. She was blew my mind. It's from my mother's house, but and then he took me into the studio and we did the Shifty remix by Onyx. And that's where my industry stuff began. You dig?
Yeah, most definitely. So like did it lead to like, like a deal with Jam Master Jay, or like, what happened with that situation?
Well, it was that situation right there. It wasn't too well. because he expected more of me, but I was really still young. I was like 19, and I was trying to get him to mentor me, and he just, I don't know, he wasn't too happy with that because he thought I was more than that. And the deal that he made out for me was a little half and half on the publishing. It was my lawyer was like, don't do it. And I mean, it was cool, but I still hung around him after that. But you know, just our business went down. You know, I did a little work for, I don't know if you remember Joe Sinister. I produced something for Joe Sinister back in the days. And shouts to Tony T. Funk and all that from the family and all. There was a lot of people I met around that time. That was a fun time. But,
So
yeah.
how long before like you connected with the Lost Boyz?
During that time, Mr. Cheekz was one of the people I was working with alongside, you know, him and there. Me and him had we had the same manager. It was a hustler dude that came to my crib one day because he heard that I make beats. And you know, this dude, Coach Cheekz from the other side of town, who I've heard of on the mixtapes or whatever. This dude is nice. He was one of my favorites. And he just brought, he was like, he linked us up because he just felt like, you know, we need to make it happen. And it's funny, like when we first met, we wasn't so engaging. You know, that's like my bro right now. And we started doing some joints here and there, you know, like Cheekz had a lot of joints like Renee, a lot of story records. He had a song called Donna. He had a song called Pop Life on the Prince on the beat, where he told a story, like, and another joint called Billy. He had a lot of, you know, we recorded a lot of those around that time. And but we got separated because we both stopped messing with the manager, the hustler dude. He was, you know, he wasn't great with his business, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't want to be around that. So both me and Cheekz is Aries and stuff. So we wound up, and then we bumped into each other again, both side by side in booths at the Black Music Expo. I was with my team and he was with his team. And we was just like, oh, what up? And he was just, you know, he was like, yo, you still got beats? And that's when we linked back up. You know what I'm saying? Those beats right there was on the album for Legal Drug Money by the Lost Boyz right now. But,
most definitely. You know, were you like, you know, kind of disappointed, like, you know, not having like, you know, any production credits, like, you know, on the album?
Yep. No, I got my production credits. I did, you know what I'm saying? But it just was some changes. I was really young, you know what I'm saying? And they had to really, not the group, not Lost Boyz per se, because they were kind of young too. They was getting into this, but when they linked up with like the label reps and stuff like that, and all that, you just, shit went left. When the way it didn't go the way we had thought it was gonna go. Like I thought it was always gonna be the main producer and all that. Nah. Being that I wasn't as advanced in making like those clean bad boy kind of sounding beats at that time. You know what I'm saying? And they saw I was a young dude, so they try to get in the bag a little bit and bring some new producers in. You know what I'm saying? But shouts to Easy Mo B, who made 3 bangers on the album. Yeah. And Pete Rock and Mr. Sex, rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the way that went down was a little, you know. But it's dope because we legends now for the album. So how much can I argue? You know
right.
What I'm saying?
100%. But like, you know, it is like a lot of like, you know, industry backdealing, like sometimes with production credits and things of that nature, like, you know, who actually gets placed on the album and stuff that people don't necessarily realize. Like, you know, right. Is that hard to navigate in the music industry? Like, you know, the politics side of it?
Yeah, if you ain't swift, like, you know what they always say, like, I wish I knew then what I know now. Oh, damn, do I? You know what I'm saying? It's big. You just, like, because well, people hungry. People they look for people that they could use to make their plan go over. And if you strike them as one of those people that they could just manipulate, they're going to take you know, they're going to snap at you or whatever and try, you know?
Man, you have like, you know, such a wonderful career of like working with, you know, established artists, a lot of artists that I respect, you know, from Tragedy Khadafi. I was like seeing yesterday you posted and stuff, everything, how you recorded Peter Guns, you know, what was it like working with like, you know, some of these legendary artists?
It's like, man, it was a learning process, of course. You know what I'm saying? Like the first time I ever got the process of how to record and what they come up with. Tragedy with Tragedy, I knew him through a dude I was producing named Lord named Rip. you know, Peppermint Wayne, all three of those names is his. And we did a lot of songs together. And he knew Tragedy from OV, Ocean Village in Far Rockaway. Shout out Far Rockaway, Queens. And one day he actually said, yo, I'm gonna get Trash to pull up. I was like, say word. And he did. He actually brought Trash to my crib. And we left from my crib, we went to the studio and all that together, spent a day with Trash, made a joint called Shadow. And it's on YouTube right now. You can look it up. Intelligent Hoodlum Shadow, produced by me or whatever. There was actually more verses on there. I ain't gonna lie to you. There was more verses on there, but I didn't want to put them on it because it was real old school. But Trash verse was dope, so I just put his up. Yeah. So
Definitely.
and then oh yeah, Peter Guns. I mean, I recorded Peter Guns in the lab. That Cheekz brought him through one day. It just is I can't remember if it was pre-Love and Hip Hop. I think it was pre-Love and Hip Hop. And Uncle Murder and all that. Cause I did some engineering, you know, after the Lost Boy album went, you know, kind of like, no, they were advanced, you know, they was touring, making their second album, third album, and I wasn't making a cut, you know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, I'm not too sure, but I was doing my other things with my crew called Quasar and, you know, and yeah, I had gotten a recording deal with Universal due to working with Quasar. Quasar was a group that we kind of was like the weird Al Yankovic of rap at the time, because as a DJ, like I told you, I used to DJ a lot when I was, you know, young. I used to try to beat the other DJs out to like exclusives on their mixtapes because they always, I couldn't beat them. Every time I try to get these joints out and put out a decent mixtape, and I get to the store or whatever, I would look at the track list, and all of them had the music that I had plus better. So I tried to do them one better and put it together like a radio station on CD, on tape, or you know what I'm saying. Nobody really was doing that, so I kind of got their attention, and I put together these. I had the people that I was around a lot, like my family that rap, and they was aspiring, you know, artists, to kind of redo the instrumentals of the new material that I had. Like, you know what I'm saying? Screw the record. We're gonna do this over, sing the hook over, you know, have fun with it. And we made like three mixtapes with that called Quasar Fan Mixtapes. By the third mixtape, we were signed to Universal. Shouts to Jamal, Landlord Entertainment. Shouts to Cypher Sounds, who was really instrumental in helping us get this stuff out, you know. And we ended up on the radio with Funkmaster Flex. Right. He had like 4 promos for his shows, 8 at 8, you know, the 7 o'clock bomb drop, 8 at 8. And every day for like a year, he would play Quasar's intros to his show. Same time, DJ Enough every morning was playing Mary J. Blige's Time remix by us. That had no, you know, it wasn't legal, you know what I'm saying? And Red Alert would play the Lucy Pearl Dance Tonight remix every day at 5 o'clock on Hot 97. And we ended up on Universal due to that. And, you know, yeah, what you was going to ask me something.
No, man, that's amazing. Like I wanted to go back a little bit, like, you know, because like when I think of Queens and stuff, everything from a hip hop perspective, I think of like, you know, the Bridge Wars, you know, and like what was it like growing up in that period, like, you know, and stuff, everything like and Queens, you know, is being dissed, you know, by KRS-One.
Man, yo, first of all, yeah, you know, we love that record. We love the battles that went down pretty much. It was like novelty to us. Just like, you know how Kid and Play was an ill, you know, hip hop was going through a real growth period right now where everywhere you turn, it was like something new. You know what I'm saying? So that battle period was like, ooh, can you really do that on a record? You know what I mean? We haven't really seen battles go down so big like that. And that was probably one of the first. You know what I'm saying? Before it was just people would say their name on a record, but it was nothing like this one. And Shan put out that record. It was it hit home because we're not from the Bridge. We're from the other side of Queens. You know what I'm saying? The Bridge is closer to Manhattan. We're closer to like the airport. You know what I'm saying? So you could kind of see, but Queens that's still Queens. You know what I'm saying? We still got a love for them or whatever, and them likewise. So to hear the bridge drop, it just felt like you go in a party, we raising our hands up too, like we from the bridge and all that. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we felt for the bridge. And then you heard the real story, man. Juice Crew,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Shan's team was somebody. It was a team. It wasn't really based in Queens, but it was a team that was so dope that KRS wanted to be down with. Right. They didn't want to put him down with it.
Yeah, they were like he was trash, pretty much. Like,
I don't know. Maybe that's how they felt. You know what I'm saying? So
well, that's what I've seen them say in interviews. Like, and stuff. They like stunning on him, like he wasn't. You're garbage. Like,
Right. So he went to prove that he wasn't, and then put a stain on our name, Put a stain on our name, and like, you know what I'm saying? Because the record was so dope, the energy in the record was so edgy and all that. How could you not like it? We love that. We played the record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We brought that whole Criminal Minded album and all that. You know what I'm saying? But it was what it was. We, like, as you seen on that post or whatever, we ain't let it happen again. We, see who we birthed now, Nas and all that. You see what it is.
Right. Man, there's a lot of arguments in hip hop. You bring up Nas, like, there was this argument and stuff that Jay-Z particularly isn't relevant. I think, like, there's some conversation about Nas as well. Like, what are your thoughts about that, of like what relevancy means in hip hop, and like, are like, like these artists relevant?
Man, hip hop is a what you call it? Is a pot of gumbo. Like, anything goes. Like, it's entertainment. So if you find a way to entertain through hip hop, how are you not relevant? Like, how did that even become a conversation? Like, people are saying, like, Boosie explained it a little bit, what he thought relevancy was. Yeah. He'd be in the clubs so where you go is where, if it's not there, then it's not relevant. Hip hop is everywhere, you know what I'm saying? So, and there's different types of hip hop, and this is not that type of hip hop. Being that it ain't that, why it's got to be not relevant, because there's people that really appreciate it. You see the numbers. You see what's happening with KD 1, 2, and 3, and Magic. Come on, you know what I'm saying? So,
well, I would imagine, like, it has a lot to do with like regional placement, because like I don't think like Jay-Z was ever really necessarily played in the South. Maybe like, when he did this song with UGK, but like typically, like, when I've gone to Southern clubs and stuff, I don't hear a lot of Jay-Z, and like that's been throughout my whole life of going to like clubs in the South and stuff and everything. You don't hear a lot of Jay-Z in the South. You're just not. If I'm in Mississippi, I'm gonna hear likely more Boosie than I would hear Jay-Z. So like, that's not really an accurate barometer, in my opinion.
What, that it's not accurate that
you can't define relevancy, like, on somewhere locally. Like, if I go to a club where I'm at now, like, they're going to play like more artists that are big, like, in the South. Typically, you're not going to hear like a whole lot of Jay-Z. You're not, like, even if they may play the occasional Jay-Z record that's on the radio and stuff and everything. But like, I think when artists, they're mistaking like the relevancy for, like, Jay-Z talked about the white hot space. And stuff, everything, like, where like artists and stuff, everything, like, they're in this space, like, where they're white hot, like, and there's a lot more opportunities and exposure, obviously, there on the radio and stuff. But there's artists and stuff that just have a solid fan base, and people rock with them and stuff, respect their music. Maybe they're not even doing arenas, they're doing local clubs and stuff. That doesn't mean that they're not necessarily relevant, in my opinion. It's hard, it's subjective. And then, like, it's also like, by comparing to other people, like, because like a lot of these artists have international fan bases. So like, because they're not hot in Florida where I'm at, doesn't mean they're not hot in New York. It might be like, they could maybe sell out like a large venue.
But right, even that, not to cut you, I think that's making it like really complicated. See, the fact that Nas's name came up.
100%.
Right? And when people make their judgment of that, it's from that feeling that they get, they don't want to accept. That's what that's about. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he ain't relevant. Why? Because whatever came after that was, you know what I'm saying? To me, I don't think it was fact. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, his name was brought up. So, this whole, I just want to say this too, about like industry and all that. And I don't want to be the old head back in the days, but back in the days, all you knew was about a nigga music. and maybe one or two things, a picture, new picture he was wearing this ill shit in the magazine, and a little story about maybe how he grew up. But you
Right.
ain't know who he's fucking with, and you know what I'm saying? Oh, him and such ain't mad, you know, don't mess with each other. It's like too much. You know what I'm saying? And now that's driving music and the numbers and all that. I think the music is, I don't really, I wish we could get in a space where that scrutiny and all that, you know what I'm saying, that don't exist. You dig what I'm saying? Like,
100%. Like, and a lot of that, like, you know, was based on marketing. I think of, like, you know, one of the artists I always appreciated musically was Ja Rule. You know, he's a Queens artist, but like what happened with the 50 Cent, like, you know, beef, it ended up where a lot of people were saying, like, you know, I don't fuck with Ja Rule. Like, you know, he's not a good artist, but like he always made good music to me.
right,
And
right,
you're looking at it in the music, and then like when you like really explore the narrative of like what actually occurred, a lot of that wasn't really based on fact, you know.
right.
And
See?
you know,
So, and it probably ruined a portion of his career or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, 100%. But like you've seen the verses, like, you know, and stuff, and everything with Fat Joe, and like Fat Joe's someone who I consider a good artist. He's a great artist. He has hits, but like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, when you look at the verses and stuff, and everything, like Ja Rule killed him in the verses.
Mm-hmm.
There's no there. It was embarrassing for Fat Joe, but like, you know what I mean, he took it like a G. I think he knew he couldn't win the verses. Like Ja Rule was, he has hits, you know.
Right.
The
So it's
music.
about the music. It's about the music. And honestly, that's why I really learned. I learned true that it's really about that could shine through no matter what. It don't matter what hiatus you take in the game. It don't matter like who you are. You know what I'm saying? Old or young. If you got genuine music, if you got more than just what's a formula that's on the radio, and you got the tones that people could, you know what I'm saying, could respond to in a positive manner, and the content that's just so real reality, you know what I'm saying? Just what it is. Like you can make it through, you know, like it could get to people in the way that you want it to. You know what I'm saying? Bottom line, I trust in good music over anything. That's
Most
what I learned.
most definitely, man. And speaking of good music, man, you're still putting out relevant content today, man. I wrote a blog, like, you know, it was about a year ago when you and Jay Hardy had dropped the dope video.
Thank you. Bloody Water.
Yeah, yeah.
That's talk to you about that. That was a story, and that you don't hear much of hip hop right now. Shouts to King Vaughn. He probably was one of the last few, and Dirk, and you know what I'm saying. But you don't hear too much storytelling in hip hop, and that's what my bro Jay Hardy did. It was almost like a Biggie Warning kind of record, but in a way, we spoke of like, you know, a dude he grew up with in high school who he was really cool with or whatever. But you know, when they got up and out, they started doing their dirt or whatever, B&Es and everything. But his man was getting jealous of him getting a lot of bread or whatever, so he kind of set him up and left him out there for police to arrest him and all that in the song and the video. So yeah, I was really, I was happy to do that one. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the type of music I want to bring across to you. You know what I'm saying?
Most definitely. What's your plans, like, you know, in the future for music?
Really, to be like, I like broadcasting. I like being the person that can push the red button on any kind of material or anything that I got going. You know what I'm saying? So I aim to find the right place. See, I DJ, I produce, I even still rap. I can, you know, and you could kind of say manage artists / label or whatever. So, you know what I'm saying? I want to put it together in a way that it's just like magic, you know what I'm saying? The way it goes down. And the artists that I deal with are like not some tiny artists. You know what I'm saying? That's important to me. You know what I'm saying? People who really who've been doing it and who knows like the formula of that music that I was talking about earlier. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, shouts to, I gotta shout him out. Jay Hardy, my bro, and Jet Black Just James, who's a brother I just met this year in 2022, and I've been working with him since 2010. We did like maybe 5, 6 songs together, just over the internet or whatever cases. Dope brother. He from Chi-Town, went to the Bay Area. Check him out. His album is called Chicago, California, Chicago, CA, something like that, right? my bro CeeLo Money. He's melodic. He's a melodic thinker. He's ill with his joints. He got that type of music that, you know, those repeat records. This album is like, it's like, I want to say neo soul. You know, in the neo soul world, there's a lot of gems. Like I found, well, back in the days, I found this chick named Reese that I feel like she don't get enough attention right now, but her album was just one of those. You keep playing it over and over again, like Erykah Badu and all. All right, so CeeLo, on the hip hop level, he's like that. You know what I'm saying? He got them joints that's just repeated. You know what I'm saying? And my guy Shot of God, we do a lot of work on the film side of things too, but he does music. He's been doing music for a long time, and he has a style that nobody has ever really touched on. So yeah, that's my camp right now. I'm working with right now, and we got a joint about to drop called Shine. Shots of Black Spirit on the production for that one. Yeah.
Most definitely, man. You mentioned like sometime artists. It seems like it's almost like a cliche in the music industry, like, you know, artists that get with a manager and like, you know, they get popping, like, you know, then there's no paperwork. You know, you could look at the Meek Mill's first manager, you know, Chris Coons, like his example. I think Wallow was talking about it on his podcast recently, where it was like a manager he knows, he put like $1.5 million into like 3 different artists, and he's in a hole for like, you know, that amount. And like, what is the difficulty, like, you know, with artists, you know, and managing them, and, you know, paperwork specifically?
Being on the same page. And it take a lot of consistency, but the definition of consistency that everybody is sometimes different. And sometimes, like, if people got hunger and they feel like the game ain't working for them, they get distracted. So many different things. And people don't like to communicate. You know, they don't like to communicate, tell like, oh, I don't like this. Or, you know, then how can we fix this or whatever? They don't do too much of that. Everybody, you know, not everybody, but a lot of artists want to be like their own boss, and that creates nobody gets nowhere. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, like all chiefs, no Indians, you know, and so right. That's man. So like Hip Hop DX, they really released a list of the best hip hop producers of 2022 nominations. I wanted to get your idea. So Alchemist, ATL Jacob, Harry Fraud, Hit Boy, and Metro Boomin. Who you picking?
Off rip, I'm thinking Hit Boy. Then shout to Metro Boomin. He's another one of my favorites. You said ATL Jacob. He's new to my ear. So I don't know him enough. And who else was the other two?
Alchemist.
Harry Alchemist Fraud. Is throwback heat. Yeah. Alchemist is throwback heat. Harry Fraud be doing them. He do a lot of scent. Like I always had a problem when people sample other hip hop records. Like, you know what I'm saying? He sample something. Like he do that a lot. But it'd be dope. But he'd probably be on the bottom of that list. But Hit Boy is who I give it to. Word up. Original heat. He didn't really let the game tell him what to do. He told the game what he gonna do. You know, Hit Boy.
Yeah, man. He has, like, you know, a lot of range. He did, like, you know, some joints with Beyonce, man, on Renaissance, and you know, that's pretty cool. Like, you know, who are you listening to musically now? Like, you know, who's some of your favorite artists is like in your ear?
I really don't. Well, that Nas album was going, who's in my ear? I don't know. Like, you got to be somebody got your music sold together. Like, I love when Cole dropped his album. Kendrick shit was dope. You know, sophisticated music. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah, man. I love J. Cole, man. Like, you know, a lot of the work he's doing and stuff and everything, and just how he continues to progress. You know, like the watch, like, you know, the progression of like these artists get better over time, and, you know, like the continued longevity. Like, I think that's the best thing that Jay-Z is doing. He's showing, like, you know, that artists can, you know, have these long careers and stuff. It doesn't have to be like, you know, a short shelf life, you know, because like typically a lot of artists don't have like necessarily very long runs. And like, you know, I think like, you know, that's a differing thing. And like, you know, other musical genres, it seems like in hip hop, we're the only musical genre where we don't really have respect for like the elders or whatever, like where, you know, like you'll see like a blog or like a news article and stuff, everything where they're criticizing like, you know, these elders, like, you know, in hip hop for, you know, maybe like their business practice. I think like academics, like, you know, he did a piece and stuff, everything where he was talking about like a lot of these old school rappers should be ashamed because of like their business practices. They weren't really bosses and stuff, even though there may be some truth to it. But like, do you think like comments like that are disrespectful?
Yeah, like why is you talking? Like, yeah, because you know, he wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say that like if the dude was like right there. You know what I'm saying? So that I don't think he would. If he did, then you know what I'm saying, shout out to him for it or whatever, keep it 100. But you're just filling up your content space, academics. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. Like, why even talk about that? You know?
100%, man. So you know, there's the show called Power. The Power book too, you know, is set primarily in Queens. I know there's like, you know, a lot of there's some criticism about like, you know, the accuracy of that. I wonder if you could break down, like, you know what I mean, as far as like what's accurate and what's inaccurate.
That sucked in and what was it? 143rd don't exist. You know, they made it look good. They made it look good. I heard they did the same thing for the Wu-Tang, the Hulu series. They just put, you know, they put a lot of fluff in it. You know what I'm saying? But it's dope that it represents what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't. Okay, my bro from the Bay Area, Jet Black, Jess James, he came out here just recently and he rode around Queens with me, right? And he said this. He said that it reminded him of Oakland mixed with, oh man, I can't remember what he said. It was another spot, but I know that where we're from, other people experience. Where are you from, Ryan? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm from Chicago.
Okay, yeah, and he's from Chicago, Jeff. But yeah, he said it reminded him of two places that he's been. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I do think it was well, kind of an accurate depiction or whatever, but it's still made for TV. Yeah.
Yeah, like man, I love Queens, just the whole vibe of it. You know, when I first went to the Tavern Lounge and stuff, it does remind me, I see similarities of Chicago. Like I see, you know, that urban environment and stuff, everything. It's pretty it's a pretty amazing place. Like, you know, do you feel like, you know, as a Queens producer, that like, you know, you have to work primarily with artists like, you know, from New York, because it seems like, you know, a lot of like New York producers are very tight knit, you know?
No, I really like I like producers who are cross genre producers. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That do just whatever, like vibe out. You ever seen the movie Beat Street?
Yeah, 100%.
You remember remember what was his name? Special K, the DJ. Remember when he showed Shorty went in the room when she said, "What do you do with all this equipment?" You remember how he started getting busy?
Yeah, yeah.
That shit shaped my life.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Like what he had mad, he had calypso playing mixed with some blues or something like that, or whatever the case is. And I think that's what hip hop is. You know what I'm saying? And I like when producers are really, you know everything, like DJs, you know.
Do you feel like hip hop is, you know, still true to the core, like, you know, as far as like with Beat Street, you know, how it was about like, you know, the graffiti artists and, you know, the rappers and stuff. It seems like, you know, hip hop is definitely it's evolved. Do you think it's losing like, you know, a lot of like, you know, the true elements of like what it originally was?
I think it depends on where you go in the planet. Okay. Depends on where you go. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the young, as we go on, the youth are kind of interested in the history of hip hop. So you might find some young kids, especially those who play, you know what I'm saying, Xbox or whatever, 2K and all that shit, might be playing some old school Tribe Called Quest scenario or some crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, did I answer the question?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like, you know, the history of hip hop, you know, I mean, I think that's really interesting and stuff that you brought that up. You know, there's like an actual universal like hip hop museum, like, you know, I mean, that's pretty dope. Like, you know, I think like, you know, and stuff, everything where a lot of people were like you know, paying attention to like the culture and like, you know, things and stuff that it's important to preserve the legacy of hip hop. And that's like, you know, one of the reasons why I do these interviews and stuff and everything, because I think it's important to, you know, get the voices of people who played a part in the culture. So I salute you for taking the time.
I appreciate you for giving me the time to do it, you know. There's so much I could elaborate on. I feel like we really get able to cover, but I'm always here for if you want to, like, if you got any things you want, any topics you want to cover.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do any documentaries, please hit me up. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I would love that, man. Like, because you're so knowledgeable about music,
yeah.
like you have an interesting perspective. I love, like, reading your Facebook posts specifically, like, because you do talk a lot, like, about like the culture of music and like things that are going on currently. And like you put me on to like new music. Like, I wasn't really looking at Little Uzi Vert, because I think like the perception and stuff, everything, they like a lot of people and stuff, everything, like would say like he's a mumble rapper. So like, it was like automatically dismissive. Like, why would I listen to that? But when I actually like took the time to listen to his music, like I was like, I have an appreciation for it.
Yeah, because I'm glad you brought that up too. Because a lot of people, when I see mumble rappers, people say this one thing. Like there's this phrase on the YouTube posts. Anytime you see like a dope hip hop artist or whatever, somebody will always say that they're either better than most of the artists out today or better than these mumble rappers out today. And I'm like, I listen. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what mumble rappers are you guys talking about? Like it was an era, 2016 or whatever, where there was, like the little pumps or who was out at the time. We ain't fathered that shit. We ain't fathered that mumble rap shit. And then Future and Young Thugs, Data 3 that really kind of kept going with it. And maybe Kodak, you know what I'm saying? They're the few that do that shit. But everybody else got labeled mumble rap. And I'm like, yo, nobody's mumbling. What are y'all talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, and 21 Savage, he's my guilty pleasure, because I know it's kind of, you know what I'm saying? But I fuck with Savage. Savage is great. Like, I like Savage. You know what I'm saying? And they call him a mumble rapper too. I'm like, I hear every lyric he's talking about. So on top of that, I just would encourage like other people. See, I'm older. You know what I'm saying? I would encourage the OGs to, first of all, remember what it was when you was younger. Remember that it was the new current hip hop that just drove things where, they was the hotness.
One last question. You brought up like, 21 Savage. So Styles P said like, stuff. He doesn't consider like 21 Savage a lyricist. Your take on that?
He's not. He said he wasn't a lyricist. He said he didn't want to be one. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, to me, like a 2 Chainz, even though I think 2 Chainz is low-key a lyricist. But it's just like one of those artists. Come on, we had Biz, we had Humpty Hump, we had all types of artists that, and I like that. I like difference. I like variety. So yeah, I like the part he plays. I'm not saying it's good for the kids and all that. We ain't talking about that. We talking about the art part. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Man, Cooler Divine, thank you so much for taking the time. We're running out of time, but like I definitely